Hello, my friend. Today is Thursday, November 9th, 2023. My name's Steven Zeiner, and this is the Stronghold Digital Mining Daily Update. Okay, there are three basic things that we all want more information about, right? First and foremost, what were our Bitcoin production numbers in October 2023? Now, Stronghold Digital Mining has been doing a phenomenal job of releasing that information. Now, there has been some constructive feedback that, hey, maybe it would be advantageous if Stronghold Digital Mining released that information within, say, 5 to 7 business days of the beginning, right, of the new month. So say it's 7 business days into the new month. We should be ideally, I guess, right, releasing our Bitcoin production numbers for the previous month. Okay, I think that certainly doesn't strike me as being an unreasonable request. So, hey, it's something I think to take into consideration, and hopefully maybe that's something that can be arranged, right? Now, the next thing, and by the way, so what is happening, right? Are we going to find out how much Bitcoin we mined in October? Well, bear in mind that in a news release that was issued, I believe, let me just double check. I'm on the website right now. Yeah, basically in a news release dated October 13th, 2023, Stronghold Digital Mining did sort of like estimate, for lack of a better way to phrase it, right, that the Bitcoin production numbers for October 2023 would be, and I'm sort of scanning this here because I could have sworn it mentioned something to that effect. Yes, okay. Stronghold expects October 2023 Bitcoin production to be in the range of 205 to 215 Bitcoin, excluding any electricity sales. And the company continues to expect over 20% average hash rate growth in the fourth quarter of 2023 when compared to the third quarter of 2023. Okay, so let's just briefly unpack that. I guess, hey, when we see October's results, I guess, hey, look at, the guidance, so to speak, is 205 to 215 Bitcoin. So, Stephen, when are we going to find out about this? Well, at this juncture, while it's possible we might get a separate news release that specifically talks about October Bitcoin production numbers, I think what's more likely, given the proximity to our Q3 2023 investor presentation, is that the company will likely communicate October Bitcoin production numbers while providing information regarding Q3 2023 overall financial performance. Hopefully that makes sense. And I think that's probably what's going to happen, given that, we haven't really heard anything as of yet. That's not to say we may not get a news release first thing tomorrow that talks about Bitcoin production numbers for October, but we're so close to Q3 2023, results being released as part of the investor presentation that I think it's more likely we'll find out more about this on Tuesday, November 14th. Okay, there's something else mentioned in that October 13th, 2023 news release that bears repeating. So it says the following, if I can just find my place again here. Okay, the company, I'm paraphrasing. Yeah, here it is. The company continues to expect over 20% average hash rate growth in the fourth quarter of 2023 when compared to the third quarter of 2023. So when it says hash rate growth, this kind of gets a little bit into the weeds with regard to this question, right? That I think remains somewhat unsolved. In that same news release dated October 13th, 2023, it mentions hash rate finished the month at approximately 3.5 exahash a second. The company's all-time high hash rate, up approximately 15% versus the August 2023 exit hash rate. So, I'm like practically certain that we have, 4 exahash worth of, well, it even says this here, actually. Let me clarify even further. Stronghold has been focused on the optimization of its data centers following the receipt of the Bitcoin miners to reach its previously announced 4 exahash target. So we have four, and this is where sort of like the phraseology becomes so important. We have 4 exahash worth of Bitcoin mining equipment. It would appear as if, though, our active online hash rate is 3.5 exahash, right, as it relates to the end of the month of September, I believe. Let me just double check this. Yeah, the company, yeah, September, yeah. So it looks, yeah, basically, yep. Sorry, I know it's so awkward when I read this, right, while we're having this conversation, but hash rate finished the month. What month? It appears to be September. Okay. So September, at the end of September, the company had approximately 3.5 exahash of, like, I guess, active online hash rate. Now, the reason why that, even now, I think, I don't want to say it confuses me. I mean, that's maybe too strong of a word. When we passed the threshold of having essentially 4 exahash of like Bitcoin mining equipment, let's phrase it that way. I'm looking back here at our early September 6. Yep, so this was dated September 6, 2023. In late August, Stronghold achieved hash rate capacity of 4 exahash. And then it goes on to explain the various Bitcoin mining machines that have been delivered. And then this is the key wording here. And are all either plugged in or expected to be plugged in imminently. Okay, so, and again, I'm not trying to give anybody a hard time, all right? I'm really not. But look, I'm just saying, it says, hey, in late August, Stronghold achieved hash rate capacity of 4 exahash. Let me read the whole thing. As expected, 1,135 MicroBT Whatsminer M50s and M50S miners and 4,000 Canaan Avalon A1346 miners have been delivered, and all are either plugged in or expected to be plugged in imminently. So that word imminently, let's just, for fun, because I like looking words up. Sometimes I don't want to assume I understand what a word means. In an imminent manner. Okay. Is there any additional verbiage for that? Ready to take place, happening soon. So I guess I just thought that imminent might mean a couple of weeks, maybe a month, right, at the most. But at the end of September of 2023, we were only at 3.5 exahash. So that means about 500 petahash of Bitcoin mining equipment had not yet been plugged in. And I'm not knocking the fact that, hey, it hasn't been plugged in yet. I am genuinely, though, curious as to why not. Because I know that this process, remember what I said once, take something you have to plug in and just plug it into the wall, unplug it, plug it in again. Do that like 100 times just to kind of get a feel for what that's like. Now try doing it, 5,000 times, right? So again, I'm not attempting to simplify what is inherently a tricky process, because it's so much more than just plugging something in. You've got to configure the machine. You need to make sure that it's, kind of plugged into a mining pool, and that it's working in sync with some proprietary software that Stronghold Digital Mining also uses to either, power down the data center or a portion of the data center, right, depending on what's going on with grid prices as well as with hash prices. So I just haven't really wanted to delve into that topic because it is admittedly a little bit, if not confusing, just a little bit confounding. I'm just not sure I understand why we wouldn't maybe have already been at 4 exahash of actual, hey, we've got 4 exahash of Bitcoin mining equipment online mining Bitcoin, right? Why we wouldn't necessarily have been there by the end of September. So I'm cautiously optimistic that perhaps we got there at the end of October, And I also think now, upon looking at this phraseology a little bit more clearly, right? When we talk about the idea that the company continues to expect over 20% average hash rate growth in the fourth quarter of 2023, well, here, let's just do some quick math, because I'm terrible at doing math like in my head, especially when I'm having a conversation with you. So it's just a little bit easier to just do this like this. So if we were to divide 0.5 divided by 3.5, that's like about 14. Let's just do this one other way here, divided by 4, 12, yeah. So basically, it would suggest to me that we might potentially get close to, and it's a little bit confusing to me. I know that we can probably get about 4.2 exahash of actual Bitcoin mining capacity, or if I see, again, what do we mean by capacity? I think we can have 4.2 exahash of actual Bitcoin mining machines plugged in and running at Scrubgrass and at Panther Creek, given the existing data center infrastructure we have in place. I feel really, really confident that we could do that. Do we have a little bit more than 4 exahash of Bitcoin mining equipment? We might. I know there was some talk about potentially optimizing the fleet. Hey, maybe there are some machines that need to come offline. Great, let's fill those data center slots with some newer equipment. I thought that 20% average hash rate growth might actually mean we're going to get that third site potentially online and operational sometime in the fourth quarter. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, listen, I will be the first to be joyous in celebrating that actually happening. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't get that vibe at this point, right? The impression I'm getting is that we will probably, by the end of this year, have 4 exahash of Bitcoin mining equipment plugged in, which we already have the equipment. It's just a matter of plugging it in. And again, I'm not trying to oversimplify this, right? It's a process. I do think, though, that we are going to find out. I mean, look, this question, I guarantee with 1,000% certainty will come up. If Stronghold Digital Mining doesn't proactively bring up the topic of, hey, what are we doing with regard to the third site? What's our game plan for energizing this data center equipment? What's our game plan for filling it with Bitcoin mining machines? If that is not mentioned at all during the investor presentation itself, I guarantee it will come up during the Q&A. I mean, that's a strong word to say I guarantee it'll happen. I mean, I can't really guarantee it, but this is something that is very, very highly likely to come up because it's just such an obvious question, right? So we're going to find out one way or the other. We're going to find out what's going on, right? And what kind of progress we're making. And really the third thing that we kind of already touched on this is, okay, great. So we have a third site. We know where we're putting the data center equipment. Well, then understandably, it's not of much use to us to have an empty data center that's just plugged in doing nothing. We need to figure out a way to fill that data center with Bitcoin mining equipment, right? And so then that's going to create, I think, a lot of interesting opportunities. Are we going to do win-win hosting plus arrangements? Are we, meaning Stronghold Digital Mining, going to buy a portion of the Bitcoin mining machines that are going to go in there, right? Is it going to be that type of hybrid approach? Are we perhaps going to announce something new and exciting and very different, which might include saying, hey, we want to offer people like me, like you, the opportunity to get involved more hands-on in the Bitcoin mining game by having some exposure through some sort of like retail hosting contract. That is a possibility. And I'll paraphrase this a little bit. There was an interview in which our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Greg Beard, a great interview. I think it was the Thinking Crypto podcast. Greg said, and I'm paraphrasing, I did go into much more depth in a previous broadcast about this, but Greg said, and I'm paraphrasing, yeah, hey, it's something, we're looking at, we're interested in that, meaning retail hosting arrangements, right? There are only so many hours in a day, but hey, maybe the idea would be like, we can buy this equipment, sort of like wholesale, Because remember, you buy in bulk, you get a better price, turn around, offer attractive retail prices, right, to people like me, to you, to others, and then perhaps have some sort of hosting contract where maybe I pay, say, $40 a kilowatt, or something along those lines, $40, $50 a kilowatt. And then I can essentially have exposure to Bitcoin mining. This is not a new concept. This is actually a quite popular concept. Interestingly, it's a concept that has in part been developed and innovated by a company called Frontier Mining. Now, where have we heard the name Frontier Mining before? As it turns out, Frontier Mining is the company with which Stronghold Digital Mining now has I believe, right, like a managed services agreement whereby, Frontier Mining is essentially going to be running and operating the data centers at Scrubgrass and at Panther Creek, and plausibly also managing and handling this new third site data center, and maybe even doing so in a manner that will be a departure from what Stronghold Digital Mining has been doing in the past, right? Where it's either we buy our own equipment, or alternatively, we enter into a win-win hosting plus arrangement with, say, a company like Foundry, or a world-class preeminent Bitcoin mining manufacturer such as Canaan. And, we participate in Bitcoin mining economics without having to own the equipment ourselves, right? So what if we take a departure from that, tap into the expertise that Frontier Mining, potentially brings into the picture, brings into the relationship, and this third site actually becomes a turnkey Bitcoin mining opportunity for people like me, for people like you? We're going to find out. I am very much looking forward to any news release that comes out between now and next Tuesday, which is when the Q3 2023 investor presentation will take place. But I think those three things, right? Hey, Bitcoin production numbers for October. What are we doing with the third site? And in terms of, hey, where are we going to put this equipment, the data center equipment? And then, hey, how are we going to fill that data center, right? What kind of business model are we going to use to do that? These are all things that have to come up on Tuesday. If the company doesn't bring it up, it will absolutely come up in a question. What else is there to talk about otherwise, right? This is kind of like something that's been talked about very, very often in previous investor presentations. It's going to come up again. There's an outside chance, I am not holding my breath, but there's an outside chance that there could be an absolute blockbuster of an announcement. An absolute blockbuster of an announcement. And I'll leave it to your imagination to surmise what that could potentially be about. Okay, let's stay positive, let's be great, and we'll see each other again tomorrow.